Hey rock fans, welcome back to the channel. I have two confessions to make. Confession number one, I make a lot of rock videos. Maybe you've seen some of them. I've been putting out one a day for months. And in spite of that, I still, as of today, have about 120 finished videos stored right on this phone. It's time for some house cleaning. Confession number two, not all of the videos are great. In fact, some of them are duds. So for today's video, we are going to do a Day of the Duds video. That's right, Day of the Duds. I'm going to take 5 or 6 of my how well will they tumble videos that weren't so great, combine them into one, edit it down quite a bit so you don't have to sit through 30 minutes of bad rocks, and then present it to you hoping that you will learn something from my mistakes. And you might enjoy it. Some of them actually weren't horrible. They just weren't great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the Day of the Duds. Well, hello, fellow rock tumblers. Look at this beautiful rock I have here. I found this out in West Texas near Alpine on the Coconut 06 Ranch. Looks to be a red moss agate, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I think it's going to be once we get it tumbled smoothly and polished brightly. Oh, my fellow rock tumblers, this piece of West Texas mossy agate just did not do well in the coarse grit cycle. So now what I'm going to do is get these two pieces into the vibratory tumbler. I'll do my usual 10-day 4-step process. And once I'm finished with the polishing phase, I'll bring it back in here and I'll show you what it looks like. This poor West Texas moss agate, it just never stood a chance against the coarse grit. Well, it is finally polished, so let's take a look at it and see what we got up close here. I do see the mossiness, right? I can see it in there. It's pretty, I suppose, but I am just so distracted by all of those surface imperfections. That drives me crazy. This rock was just too fractured to do well in the tumbler. This little piece that broke off early on is actually in pretty good shape. It's just very small and hard to hold on to. Welcome back to the channel, fellow rock lovers. What do we have here? This smooth looking rock I found out in West Texas, near the town of Lajitas, as I recall, probably along the Rio Grande River. It looks like it's well river tumbled, doesn't it? In this video, we're going to find out how well this one will tumble and polish. Once it's smooth, I'll bring it back in here and I'll show you what it looks like before we move it on to the polishing stages. Check it out. Our soft conglomerate rock is finished with the coarse grit. Does it look kind of odd to you? Well, there's a reason for that. This is how it looks after about 10 days in the coarse grit. Yes, this rock was much too soft to tumble that way, and this is all that's left. This and a barrel full of very thick slurry. So let's go ahead and move on. Get this little bitty rock into the vibratory tumbler. I'll go for about 10 to 12 days and use 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final 14,000 grit aluminum oxide polish, I'll bring this bad boy back in here and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, just as we feared, this soft conglomerate rock didn't take much of a shine either. That's right, this is as good as it gets on this thing, which is not surprising. Rocks that break down so quickly in the coarse grit generally will not shine. Hey rock fans, let's do another rock tumbling video. In this video, we're going to take this already river tumbled rock and see if we can make it even smoother and get a shine on it. I'm not so sure we can. This looks like it might be a little soft. Where did I find this rock, you ask? I got this down near Lajitas, Texas, way down there in West Texas, near the Rio Grande River. In fact, this may have been tumbled in the Rio Grande River. I'm not exactly sure. Will this tumble and take a good shine, or will it just dissolve? Well, let's find out. Let me go ahead and get this in the coarse grit barrel. I'll get it in the 60-90 grit. I'll keep it going. Maybe not very long, but long enough to make it smooth. Once it's smooth, I'll bring it back in here and I'll show you what it looks like before moving it on to the polishing stages. Well, what do you think? Our two-toned Rio Grande area rock is finished with the coarse grit tumbling, and as feared, it's a little soft and therefore a little small. Yep, this is only 10 days of coarse grit grinding, and we've already lost quite a bit of mass. That does not bode well for a good polish. Well, what I'm going to do next is get it in the vibratory tumbler, and I'll go for my usual 10 to 12 day cycle where I go through 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final 14,000 grit aluminum oxide polish, I'll bring this rock back in here and I'll show you what it looks like. Well, what do you think? Our two-toned West Texas rock is finally finished with the polishing. Not that you'd know it, it didn't take much of a shine. You can see a hint of a reflection there, but not much. Let's see the other side. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Too soft of a rock to take much of a shine. That's unfortunate. It is a good looking rock in my opinion. I do like the 2 tones there. It's probably calcite, I'm guessing, and I don't know what this other stuff is here, but it's not hard. If I were to get my little scratch test kit out here, I imagine this would probably be, gosh, a 4 maybe. Maybe. So if I wanted to shine a rock like this, I wouldn't tumble it. I would probably get it on a buffing wheel and use some Zam. But I'm not going to do that because this rock just doesn't interest me much. I like shiny rocks. I like those hard agates, the petrified woods. But heck, it's fun just to throw in rocks like this, just to find out. Hello to all my fellow agate lovers out there. Welcome back to the channel. What do we have here? This is a piece of black lace agate. That's right, black lace agate. This comes from China. How well do you think this piece will tumble and polish? Let's find out. Let me go ahead and get this in the coarse grit where I will let it roll in the 6090 grit until it's smooth. All these edges will be worn down. The surface will be, well, as smooth as I can get it. Hopefully it'll reveal some beautiful patterning in there. You see that? That could be interesting. Also, hopefully it will survive the coarse grit because, as I said, I believe this is softer than a regular agate. Once it's smooth, I'll bring it back in here and I'll show you what it looks like before we move it on to the polishing stages in the vibratory tumbler. Check it out. Our piece of black lace agate has been in the coarse grit for just a couple of days, and yep, it was way too soft. This is all that's left. This and a very thick slurry in the barrel. I feared that it was soft, but I honestly thought it would hold up better than this. This is ridiculous. Not much is left of this little rock, and I have absolutely zero confidence that it will take a shine at all. But it doesn't matter. We're going to find out. That is the name of the game, after all. How well will these rocks tumble? So, in spite of its very small size, I'm still going to get it in the vibratory tumbler. I'll go for about 10 to 12 days. I use 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final phase of polishing, I'll bring this back in here and I'll show you what it looks like. Mercifully, the tumbling and polishing of this black lace agate from China is finished. What a disaster. It got even smaller in the vibratory tumbler. Look at this thing. There's no redeeming qualities about this. It was very soft. It reduced to just about nothing. And what's left doesn't really have anything interesting. It's just terrible. Welcome back to the channel, fellow rock tumblers. Check this out. This, I believe, is a piece of petrified wood. I'm wondering how well this one will tumble and polish. You never can tell with this petrified wood. Will it be colorful? Will it be just plain looking? Will it hold up in the coarse grit? Well, we're going to find out for sure. Once we get this thing coarse grit tumbled, then its secret will be revealed. Let's go ahead and do that. Let me get this in a coarse grit barrel. I'll get it tumbling in the 6090 grit, and I'll keep it rolling until this gets really smooth on the outside. Once it's smooth, I'll bring it back in here and I'll show you what it looks like before moving it on to the polishing stages. Well, my rock tumbling friends, turns out I was wrong. That was not a piece of petrified wood from Colorado. Nope. You see, I'm clutching it in my hand for a reason. After a short time tumbling, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, the coarse grit did this to our one big piece of what I thought was petrified wood. Clearly it's not petrified wood. What is this stuff? I don't know. It just broke down and dissolved. I thought it was hard. Sounds hard. Honestly, there were a lot of small pieces in the barrel as well. I mean, very small pieces, not worth trying to move on. This is all we have of that beautiful piece of, well, what I thought was petrified wood that I picked up on the side of the road in Colorado. Should we just end this video now? Absolutely not. The point of this little video series is to see how well these rocks will tumble. So we know this one did not do well in the coarse grit. In fact, it did about as poorly as I have ever seen. Will it take any kind of shine at all once we get it in the vibratory tumbler? I don't know. I have low hopes. But we're going to find out. I'm going to go ahead and toss this in a vibratory tumbler. I'll go for my usual 12 days or so, 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final 14,000 grit aluminum oxide polish, I'll bring these 2 pathetic pieces of rock back in here, and I'll show you what they look like. The polishing's all finished. Yep. The, let's call it Jaeger rock that I found along the roadside there in Colorado that I thought was petrified wood is all finished with the polishing. Now, you saw earlier that it broke down and didn't do very well in the coarse grit tumbling. So our only hope was to get a beautiful shine on it. And did we? Not really. This may be the worst rock I've ever tumbled. I don't know. I hate to say that, but it's just very, very uninspired and average. Hardly took a great shine at all. Maybe some of it's okay, but what even is it? I don't know. I sure thought it was petrified wood. Hey, rock lovers, what do we have here? This is a rock that I picked up out in West Texas, I think along Hobby Road near Alpine. It looks to be just sort of a piece of jasper, maybe? Maybe a jaspagate. I think I'm seeing, yeah, right there. You can see a little chalcedony in there. This looks like that golden mossy agate. I can't really tell, though. So let me go ahead and get this West Texas rock in the coarse grit barrel. I'll get it turning and turning and turning. Once it gets really smooth, which could take me, gosh, 2 months, I'll bring this back in here and I'll show you what it looks like before moving it on to the polishing stages in the vibratory tumbler. Welcome back. Our piece of Hobby Road jasp agate has been tumbling now for several weeks, and honestly, I decided to stop because it's just not going to get much better. This side is pitted. There's no other way to look at it. However, the other side is, well, still somewhat pitted. But as you can see, there is some smoothness around here and here, which hopefully will take a brilliant polish. What I'm going to do next is get this in the vibratory tumbler. I'll go for my usual 12 days, use 4 different grits. Once I'm finished with that final polishing phase, I'll bring this back in here and I'll show you what it looks like. It's taken a couple of months, but our Alpine, Texas area jasp agate is finally finished with the tumbling and polishing. I am not too impressed with this rock. Those pits were just everywhere. What are you gonna do? We did get a little bit of a shine on those smooth areas as we predicted, but it's just not enough to make this rock interesting. Well, they can't all be winners. That's why I do this series. You just never know what you'll find when you tumble these things. You gotta find out how well they tumble and polish. This one, not so great. Oh, well, there'll be better ones in the future, I promise. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And be sure and check my other videos for more like this.